But we begin with the ongoing assault on Ukraine. The nation's foreign minister there is calling for more international sanctions against Russia after what he calls a, quote, barbaric attack on Ukraine's second largest city.
Officials say at least 10 people were killed and 35 wounded in rocket strikes overnight in Kharkiv. Video released by the Ukrainian government appears to show civilians being caught in an attack on a government building. This as President Volodymyr Zelensky is accusing Russia of war crimes, saying Moscow continues targeting civilians. The Kremlin counters those accusations by claiming attacks on civilians are nationalist groups using people as human shields.
Meanwhile, a 40-mile-long convoy you see there of Russian military vehicles is headed to Ukraine's capital of Kyiv. Those reinforcements could indicate a major new Russian offensive is imminent. We have team coverage from our For You. Mary Alushina is in Moscow, but we begin with CBS News foreign correspondent Chris Livesay. He joins us now from Lviv, Ukraine. First and foremost, Chris, you know, President Zelensky says the defense of Kyiv is their top priority right now. So how are Ukrainians preparing for what could be one of their biggest concerns at this point?
Well, let me start with what those biggest concerns are. I mean, you mentioned it in the intro. It is that convoy, that massive Russian convoy of armor inching its way towards the northern side of Kyiv, and it does not have good intentions. Meanwhile, you have Russian troops that have been making their way up from the south of Ukraine, and of course, we well know that in eastern Ukraine, there are Russian-backed separatists there, and of course now Russian troops as well. All of them making efforts to encircle the capital of Kyiv. And this comes with mounting concerns surrounding the possible indiscriminate use of very, very deadly weapons in the country. You've seen the explosion in Kharkiv that killed 10 people and injured dozens more. The big concern is that we'll start seeing more of that in Kyiv, you know, targeting civilians in populated areas. As far as how they're preparing for that, well, you have conventional and unconventional means. The conventional means are having more and more troops join the army. Anybody between the age of 18 and 60 has been ordered to stay within the country. But then you also have unconventional means, and examples of that are Molotov cocktails. The government has actually been instructing its own population on how to make them. In fact, in the town where I am of Lviv, a brewery has stopped making beer and started making Molotov cocktails. They already had a lot of the ingredients right there in-house. So these are the types of measures that regular Ukrainians are taking in order to defend their country.
And Chris, some of the numbers that we are hearing are staggering, with the UN now estimating more than 600,000 people have already fled the country because of the fighting, and there are no signs the exodus is slowing. So, Chris, of course, you're near the border in Lviv. What are you seeing in terms of the exodus, and what are people telling you?
Well, Tanya, we are seeing the exodus. We are seeing people fleeing this country by the thousands, if not the tens of thousands, right before our eyes, whether that's in the train station, whether that's by car or by bus, even by foot. People trekking their way through the snow in many cases and having to wait at the border for days on end, because we're talking about a mass exodus, hundreds of thousands of people, and that's just a gargantuan task to process. What we're hearing from people, of course, is, you know, how hard it is to leave their families, because one thing you'll notice about the majority of people heading for the exit is that they're women and children, for the reason that I mentioned before, is that the men have been ordered to stay here and fight. So a lot of heartbreaking farewells, you know, fathers saying goodbye to their children, mothers saying goodbye to their husbands. It's just brutal to watch, of course, because they don't know when they're going to get to see each other again. And what you hear over and over again from Ukrainians is their hatred for the man they hold responsible, and that's Russian President Vladimir Putin. Over and over again, they're blaming him almost in shock. As you might recall, many Ukrainians had no idea that this would happen, despite the fact that they were mounting along the border. They could not believe this, and so this is just a shock to them. And in many respects, Putin has already lost the war, because it'll be very difficult, if not impossible, for him to hold this territory, even if he wins every battle moving forward. And as Russia learned in Afghanistan, and as the United States learned in Afghanistan, it's easier to win against an adversary in battle than it is to hold a territory in the long term.
Absolutely. Well, Chris Livesay in Ukraine, thank you so much, and stay safe.